All right. You know what? Guys around the NFL. I got to ask Cole this question flat out. Let's bring my friend Jason Cole in here, Hall of Fame voter. Jason,
Yes.
Hall of Fame, MVP right now. Would you have a problem giving an MVP vote to Jalen Hurts right now?
A first place vote?
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him a first place vote. He'd probably be in that top three. Mahomes is the MVP. So I'm still on that. I mean, there's room for change, but I would definitely go with Mahomes at this point in time. But
what if
Hurts deserves consideration? But look, I think he leans on. He has a lot of help, which is that's not to denigrate him. It's to say that they have a really good roster. They might have the most complete roster out there, and Mahomes does too. But remember, Mahomes is doing this even though he lost Tyreek Hill. Okay, Jalen Hurts, they went and got AJ Brown, to help him out. That's again, Jalen Hurts is having a terrific year. Might be the most improved player in the league. Maybe a player who deserves to get paid, along the lines of, 35, 40, $45 million. He might be one of those guys, right? Salute him. But, Mahomes is the best player in the league right now, as far as MVP goes.
Jason, do you agree that Christmas Eve game could maybe change some of that dynamic? Because if the Cowboys and Packers had 30 million people watching it, when people look at the Eagles, they see that 11-1 record. And to me, sometimes you see weeks and box scores. If you're a voter, say, in Seattle, and you see 153, you're like, well, a lot of people are in the press that we know, they're like box score readers. And they'll see what a guy did. Do you think that game could change a perception of him?
I think there's only 32 voters.
Yeah,
there some are at larges, and they pay a lot of attention. I remember when I was a voter, I paid a lot of attention to that. So I took great care to make sure that I was doing more than reading box scores. I watched a lot of games. Now I watched mostly the Dolphins at the time because that's who I was I was covering. But yeah, I tried to watch as much of the league as I could. So I don't think that sways it a lot. I would say that things can change. Like the Chiefs could go on a run where they lose a bunch of games. And that's why I always, when people say, this person's the MVP after 12 weeks, hey, dudes, we got like 6-7 weeks left to play. Can we pump the brakes on it a little bit to see how it plays out? Jalen Hurts could overtake Patrick Mahomes. It could happen. If some things change. But if you're asking me today, the answer is no.
Who have you been more impressed with their improvement, Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is closer to being a guy that I would pay a lot of money to. I watched Tagovailoa last Sunday in person. If things break down, he's not very good. He's not an improvisational player. Yet, you can get there and learn what do you do when things break down? What do you do when things are off script? What do you do when the defense takes away your first and second read? All those things that are really, really important. So, Tagovailoa has done a really nice job this year. Give him a lot of credit. Learned a new system. They've catered the system around him. He's gotten a lot of help, with Waddle there already, bringing Hill in. Sherfield is really good, too, as a third receiver. But Hurts, to me, again, I'm fully invested in. I'm much closer to saying I'll give Jalen Hurts the money.
Than Tua.
More than
that
Tua.
Leads me to this, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
You think the Dolphins move off of Tagovailoa in the offseason because of what you said, where you go like this? I mean, you've got a decision to make, because if Lamar Jackson does run through the tape here and doesn't re-sign with Baltimore, he's a South Florida kid. His mom wants him to play there. Could you see him potentially doing this? Hey, man, we're Chris Greer moving off of him and moving on to Lamar and moving off of Tagovailoa.
I don't know that I like Lamar Jackson a whole lot more than I like Tua. Okay, so
there's an injury thing there too.
Right. I mean, how much longer is he going to be able to run? And Lamar Jackson is not a thrower. So Tua is much closer to what you need to have back there. He just has he has limitations right now. And the other problem with Tua is, and Jeff Darlington made this point when we saw each other last week. Tua doesn't have one of those loose cannon arms like a baseball player, like a shortstop, where you can throw the ball, whip the ball with your arm, and just put it wherever you need to, even when your body is not fully underneath you. He needs to have his body underneath him, or he needs to be going the direction of the throw in order to make a good throw. If he doesn't have his body underneath him, his mechanics are bad. He throws a lot of bad he makes a lot of bad throws. Like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, they're like guys playing shortstop, that if they're going to their left or they're going to their right, they can either throw from the hole or they can throw from up the middle, right? And change their bodies and change their arm angles and overcome that. Josh Allen, same kind of thing, big power arm. Now, you don't want to always be throwing with your arm, but sometimes you have to. Tua can't do that. Lamar can't really do that either. So I think Tua is closer to the kind of quarterback you need to have in this league. I'm not sure that he's ever going to really get there. And he may be one of those sort of good to very good quarterbacks who, when everything is perfect around him and he has a lot of help, you can win and maybe even win a title.
You think he's like a Chad Pennington?
Oh, he's got better arm than Chad Pennington.
Okay.
And he gets rid of the ball faster. I mean, Tua is super accurate, right? And when he is in rhythm, I mean, he gets rid of the ball really fast. If the first and second read or first or second read are there, Tua is super dangerous. I mean, he can be fun. It's what do you do when things break down? There was this play, and it's people just don't notice it that much. But the 49ers had 12 guys on the field on this third and one play at about the 30-yard line in that game. And as they're coming to the line of scrimmage, they realize they got 12 on the field, and the big old defensive lineman, guy built like me or you, starts running off the field, right? And if that's Aaron Rodgers, he sees that and he goes, okay, snap the ball, free play, here we go, right? Tua looks, and I know he saw him, but he just went through the process.
The play.
Yeah, the process of the play, and you just go, dude, you have a free play. Instead, he took a sack for -8, and they got the field goal. But it's like, no, that's such an enormous opportunity. If your mind is thinking, okay, here's what I have to do, here's what I have to be ready. These are the things I have to execute. And when something changes in front of you, be ready for it. He was not. And so that's the fine points of what I'm trying to talk about with Tua.
49ers or Cowboys, who do you think is the biggest threat to the Eagles when it comes to winning the NFC this year?
Well, Dallas, they're healthier and they got a better quarterback and all those kinds of things. 49ers are definitely dangerous, but they have to play a low-scoring game. They're not going to. Brock Purdy, I give Brock Purdy a lot of credit. The kid's got some chutzpah to him, and I don't say that easily. Chutzpah is a special quality, right? But he's got that. But come on, he's the last pick of the draft. I mean,
you think Dak is better than Jalen?
They're about the same.
About the same?
About the same, which means that under that circumstance, I'm paying Jalen.
Because
now they paid Dak, and I don't blame him for playing Dak. Here's always the problem that you have with quarterbacks is you have good, you want great, and you're always searching for great. But once you at least have good and serviceable at that position, you kind of have to live with it, right? It's really hard. It's really hard. It's like that's where Kyle Shanahan was like, I got Jimmy Garoppolo. I need Trey Lance, and he had to overpay and all these other things for it and create a big mess. It's really difficult situation to go from good to great. It's really hard. Kansas City did it. They had Alex Smith. They had a plan and it worked, and they picked the guy. That is a rare exception.
And Jason, this is what I was trying to tell people yesterday. The majority of these big contracts, I mean, Dak Prescott getting bounced in the opening rounds, having one playoff win. You look at that and you go like this: $45 million. Am I getting my return on investment? We haven't advanced to a conference title game in 30 years. I mean, then you look at Kyler Murray. You look at last night, Derek Carr. All these big money guys, they create gaps in your team, and they create exactly what the NFL wants, the parity in the league. And you know what? Mahomes' deal is really the only deal. You could say Stafford because Stafford delivered a Super Bowl. I agree. Brady's deal also. But these guys aren't the highest paid guys in the game.
No, but look, if once you have a proven guy, you got to pay for it. Because do you want to be let's think of, do you want to be Houston? Do you want to be Indianapolis? Do you want to be
Jason, the only reason the Eagles are
Seattle?
In the position, but Jason, the only reason the Eagles are in the position they're making is because he's the lowest paid guy in the offensive huddle. He makes $1.4 million a year. It's the only reason. When they start paying him,
they've got look, he's a good enough player that they'll win once he gets paid. And look, most teams, you're lucky if you got 5 or 6 guys on your team that you have to pay what they want. Most teams, your winning and losing is determined largely by, do you know how to backfill your roster constantly and live with whatever the quarterback is. Indianapolis won a lot of games with Peyton Manning when he was the highest paid quarterback in the league, because they knew how to supplement and keep, surround him with players. I don't buy this argument. You got to win while your quarterback is cheap. It helps. I'm not going to deny that, but I need a quarterback just because they are so incredibly hard to find. And I've watched the Dolphins. I watched the last year of the Dolphins with Dan Marino, and what it's taken just to get to Tua.
Right.
20 years.
Well, you didn't like the Cleo Lemons?
I like Cleo was in it. Those guys were all nice guys. They were really, they weren't great players. Look at the Chicago Bears. They haven't had a great quarterback
since Sid Luckman.
Exactly. And most of your people think Sid Luckman is their tailor down the street. That's what it is. He's one of my people. I love the man.
Very nicely done, my friend.
Yes, there you go.
Done. Let me ask you about the Washington Commanders and Daniel Snyder. This time next year, will he be the owner of the Washington Commanders?
That's a tough one. And I'll say yes. Because he's stubborn enough to make people have to kick him out.
And you know what, too, Jace? I'm going to add this to you here. I think because the Republicans taking the House, all those investigations that they were having with the Commanders now go away.
They go away.
And that buys them more time.
Yeah, probably, but that stench.
Agreed.
Here's the problem.
By the way, John Gruden's going to make a killing.
No, he's not.
You don't think so?
He's not getting a dime. The league, that wasn't the league that did, unless he wants to sue Washington.
Yeah, but he's part of the Shield.
That's not. He sued the league. Okay, he didn't sue Snyder. Okay, I don't know.
All that stuff Bruce Allen's talking and testifying against, you don't think that's going to come back to haunt the league?
Not really. Not much.
I said earlier too. I go, the league is Teflon, man. Nothing hurts that thing.
Here's the reason why Dan Snyder won't escape what you're talking about. It's the investigations are over, but the real damage of the investigations has already been done, which is he's done a lot of the damage on his own because he's such a jerk. People in people in local politics don't want to give him a new stadium. And it's neither the people in Maryland nor the people in Virginia. And he's not getting the site in DC because everybody hates him so much. And he's done such a crappy job of running that team. And he's so toxic. It doesn't matter if Congress is investigating him or not anymore, but nobody wants to do business with him. And that's not going away. And so because of that, he's going to be forced into a situation where he can't make enough money, year over year. So, in real cash, he's going to be forced to sell because of the stadium situation as much as anything, and the legal wait him out. Again, the political stuff, that investigation, the ship has already sailed on that. I don't think that matters. I think the way he has basically scorched the earth in that area will make it impossible for him to own them long term. But a year from now, yeah, probably still.
Finally here, you cool with Jason Garrett taking over your Stanford football program?
Well, he said he wasn't going to do it today. He went on Twitter and said he wasn't.
Well, dude, Stanford job. Do you know Coach Shaw made $9 million? I mean, that's
in 1 year. He didn't make $9 million annually. He made $9
yes, he did.
No, not year over year.
He did. I looked it up. It's 9, and that guy.
It was 9. It was 9 with his retirement payment, which was a lump sum payment.
He made a lot of cash there, man. And
he did make there. But
I think that's a great job, Jason. I think that's Notre Dame of West Coast.
I think it's a dead end job where you can't win anymore
because you can't get the kids in you need because of the requirements and the admissions. Yes.
No, not that.
If you recruit 20 kids in Alabama, those 20 kids ain't going to be the same kids.
Well, but
Palo Alto.
But Shaw and Harbaugh got kids, and that part hasn't changed. What has changed is the conference situation is bad. And once you lose USC and UCLA, and it's a non-competitive conference. That's number one. Number two, you're not embracing NIL, and they won't really ever embrace NIL, so they won't get kids like that. The transfer portal's never going to work for them. It just can't. Okay. So to me, there are much greater problems that affect whether you're going to be able to compete in the big way that you did when Harbaugh and Shaw were there, when they were at their best. I think Stanford is in danger of becoming, if they even survive into the sort of the centralization of college football, where it becomes just 64 teams basically competing for playoff spots. If they survive into that and actually get there, as all the conferences start to change, I think they're at best Vanderbilt, the way Vandy is in the SEC, unless they decide to take it seriously and find a way to do NIL in a different way and find a way to get into bigger conferences and say, we're ready to compete, to find a way to get to the Big Ten or some other avenue. Right. I think college football is in a lot of trouble. I think college football is just it's a cash grab game right now by the schools and the players, but really by the schools, that is going to make the game implode. And there are going to be a lot of schools that, Oregon State, Washington State, Boston College. There are going to be a lot of colleges that drop football, at least drop big time Division I football. And that's going to be really sad.
Absolutely. You're going to see a lot of programs go away. Jace, have a great week, man. We'll catch up with you again. Thank you, brother.
Be good. See ya.
You got it. Jason Cole, Hall of Fame voter and our NFL insider. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.